Instruction skill number 5 is solving decimal word problems that have multiplication and division in them. If you have not already looked at it, I recommend that you look at Computation Review on pages 141 and 142. And I am on page 22. This is a calculator question. On Saturday, LaVon worked 10 hours at Gatsby department store. She earns $9.50 per hour for the first 8 hours each day. LaVon earns time and a half, or $9.50 times 1.5, for any hours beyond 8 hours. How much did LaVon earn on Saturday? The answer is $104.50. And here's the solution. Step 1. We write an equation for the amount LaVon earned Saturday. The total LaVon earned is equal to 8 hours of regular pay plus 2 hours of overtime pay. So the total is 8 times $9.50 plus 2 hours at the overtime rate of $9.50 times 1.5. So you've set up the equation, you perform the operations, and you come up with the answer. The calculator will do it for you. It knows to do order of operations, and so you can type it in there. Remember your rules for multiplying decimals if you're doing it longhand. I'm going to show you how I would solve this problem, okay? And I'm going to do it longhand just to remind you of how to do the multiplication with your decimals. So let me set it up right here. So we know that she gets regular pay and overtime pay. And we know that she gets regular pay is $9.50 and overtime pay is $9.50 times 1.5. That's time and a half. And we know that the first 8 hours are regular pay. And it tells me that she worked 10 hours at the store. So that means 8 of those were regular, which left her with 2 of them being overtime. Okay, so here comes the math. The first one is simply, I won't say simply, it's not easy, but it is very straightforward. It's $9.50 times 8. So I'll come over to my scrap paper. Again, I know I can use a calculator. I just want to remind you how to do this. 8 times nothing is nothing. 8 5s are 40. Put down the 0, carry the 4. 8 9s are 72 plus 4. That would be $76, 2 decimal places. So this regular pay for that day is $76. Now, I have to calculate that overtime pay. So that's going to be $9.50 times 1.5. And whatever that is will go right here. So I'm going to come over here and do $9.50 times 1.5. 5 times 0, 5 times 5, 5 times 9. Move over a space. 1 times 0, 1 times 5, 1 times 9, and I will add those together. Three decimal places, so 1, 2, 3, and that means that she makes $14.25 for an hour of overtime, and she gets 2 of those on this particular day. So I'm going to turn around. You can multiply it, or let me just show you this. You can simply add it if you don't want to go through the multiplying. You'll get the same answer. So that's 50 cents, and that's $28 there. So overtime was $28.50 plus that $76 for the first 8 hours. And then you will have to line those up because you're adding. And it looks like $104.50 for the final answer. And hopefully that matches what we had. Use the calculator though. They tell you that you can. Here's how you type it in, and it will save you from having to do all this side work that I had to do. All right, page 21. We have concept, procedure, and application again. The bar graph shows the taxes on gasoline in selected states. Which answer choice is the best estimate of the tax on 10 gallons of gas in Alaska? So the title of the graph is important. It says tax on 1 gallon of gasoline in Alaska, in California, and in New York. And we're interested in Alaska. And this looks like it's about halfway between 20 and 30. So I'm going to call it 25 cents. Maybe a little more than that. 26 cents maybe. But that is on 1 gallon of gas. So I'm going to use a proportion here of dollars per gallon. And we know that it's about 25 cents on 1 gallon, but we want to buy 10 gallons. So I will be multiplying 0.25 times 10. And this is not a calculator one, so let me go ahead and do that. 0.25 times 10. Going to bring this 0 down and then multiply around it. 1, 5, 1, 2, 1 times 0, and we have 2 decimal places here. So $2.50. I like option 3. A box weighing 11.3 kilograms contains 2 dozen cans of chicken soup. When empty, the box weighs 0.5 kilogram. Which expression gives the weight in kilograms of 1 can of chicken soup? Okay, let me think just a minute here. I think the first thing I'm going to make note of is that 2 dozen equals 24 cans. I might be messing up here. I'm just doing my own thinking. I would say that the box I tell you what, before I get us into a mess, I'm going to look at my answer key and see how they, give me 1 second to find it. This is skill 5, right? Okay, I see what they're doing. Let me not do this part. I'm not going to erase it. I'll just mark it out. So what they're saying is weight divided by cans. We want to know 1 can. So that is division. Weight divided by cans. However, the 11.3 is the total weight. The box itself weighs 1/2 kilogram. So weight is a little bit tricky. We don't want to count the weight of the box in with the weight of the soup. This is a very unusual question to me, but it's a good one. So let's talk about our cans. We know that we have 2 dozen cans. That's 2 times 12. Or I was trying to jump directly to the 24 instead of breaking it down the way they wanted me to. But 2 dozen is 2 times 12. And this is actually the answer that we're looking for. It is option 5. Number 1 is adding the weight of the box to the total weight. We don't want to do that. We would be counting it twice. Number 2 is kind of sort of the right thing, except it has that 0.5 moved away from the 11.3, and we can't do that because both of those are weights. Number 3 is saying 11.3 times a dozen. That's not what we want to do. And number 4, again, we have separated the 0.5 away from. Is it just me, or is number 4 not the same as number 2? It is. They've just reversed the 12 and the 2, but it's saying the same thing. Answer here is number 5, and I hate these. Any of these concept ones I'm not going to like, but I'm looking at the answer key. It is number 5. All right, let's look at a procedure one. Malcolm and 3 friends have dinner at the Pizza Palace. Their bill is $22. If they share, let me get that to highlight. They share the cost, equally. How much is each person's share? And this is pointing me toward division. So we take the cost and we divide it among the people. Be very careful here. I see students make this mistake all the time. How many people ate dinner? Not just the 3 friends. The 3 friends and Malcolm. What was the cost of the dinner? $22. So $22 divided by 4 people. And we actually have to do this without a calculator. So 22 is the total, that's the dividend, and 4 is the divisor. That's the number of people who got to eat. 4 cannot go into 2, but it goes into 22 5 times. And 5 times 4 is 20. We have a remainder. So I'm going to add a decimal and 1 0. Don't go wild, just put 1 in there and bring it down. And then 4 into 20 is 5 times, and this comes out to be a terminating decimal. So that is $5. You can add all the zeros you want to. $5.50 per person. Be very careful that you count Malcolm. All right, here are the applications, and I love these. I didn't when I first started doing them, but now I do. I like these story problems. This is a calculator one. Carrie runs 4.3 miles on Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. She runs 2.5 miles on Tuesday and Thursday. How many miles does Carrie run in 4 weeks? So she does 4.3 miles 3 days a week and 2.5 miles 2 days a week. She must not run on the weekends. And she does all of this for 4 weeks. So let's do some math here. 4.3 times 3, and I am going to use my calculator because it says I can. That is 12.9 miles. And then let's calculate this number. I can do that one in my head. 2.5 times 2 is 5. And then let's combine those. These brackets are just like parentheses. We still have that 4 out there. 12.9 plus 5 is 17.9. And this means multiply. So 17.9 times 4, I'm using my calculator, is 71.6 miles, and that is number 4. That's a lot of miles in a month. All right, problems 5 and 6 refer to the table below. Take a second and look at the table. These are shipping charges. If your item costs between a penny and $15, you have 3 options to ship. If your item costs between $15 and a penny and $30, you have these options, and so on. So this is the price of the items. This is the standard shipping rate, the rush shipping rate, and the one-day shipping rate. Number 5, we may use a calculator. From a catalog, Kia orders 2 towels for $15.95 each, and a pillow for $5.97. What is the total cost for Kia's purchase if she uses standard shipping? All right, so 2 towels. That's 2 at $15.95. I'm going to use the algebra way just to get you comfortable with it. And 1 pillow for $5.97. So before we know this number out here, we have to figure the cost of the items. So the first thing I need to do is this. 2 times $15.95, and we can use the calculator, is $31.90 plus $5.97, and we still don't know the shipping just yet. We are going to add these two to get this number. That's $37.87. And then that is going to help me find the shipping. So I need to come up to my table and find $37.87. That would be in this range. And she's doing standard shipping, so it's $7.95. We can finally put the shipping in, and then we can use the calculator to find the total. Or you could do it by hand on scrap paper. However, I'm using a calculator. They said I could. So $45.82 is the cost of that purchase. Yolanda orders 3 pairs of shorts in different colors for $14.50 each. So shorts, she buys 3 pairs at $14.50 each. How much more? That's a subtraction word. Will her order cost if Yolanda chooses one-day shipping rather than standard shipping? So we need to know the cost of those shorts. That's $14.50 times 3. And that's $43.50. All right, so let's look at standard for $43.50. And that's going to be in this range, $7.95. So if she does standard, she will pay $43.50 plus $7.95. Is this calculator? It is not. I need to go back and show you how to get that. I'm sorry, I used the calculator. That's 14, 11. So $51.50 if she does standard. And let me come back and show you how to get this one. $14.50 without the calculator times 3. It's going to be 0, 2 decimal places. All right, that same $43.50 if she chooses the one-day shipping, so expedited, not rushed, but expedited. That would give me, no, sorry, it is rush. That would give me, hold on, one day. So she wants the fastest option. That's this one, $26.95. And I didn't need to do all this, but I'll go ahead since I have done it. I've done a lot of work here I didn't need to do. 14. by 10. That's 70. That's for one day. But all we had to do is take these two numbers. I'm very, very tired and I just didn't catch it. We need this number. And let me change colors so you can actually see it. This number and this one. Because all that's going to change is the cost of the shipping. The cost of the shorts did not change. So I just need to subtract those two. I need the $26.95 minus the $7.95. And that's not right. You take that calculator away from me, and I am prone to make mistakes. How about $19 more? You could also find that by subtracting right here. 70.45 minus 51.45. Again, this is the long way. I did not need to do all that. But since I have it here, I can show you that it would come up to be the same answer of $19 difference. Again, if you haven't done the computation practice, I would recommend doing that on pages 141 and 142.